After morning, mind Liptions, it is that time of the week once again where we do the buyer's guide. This week, I'm going to be giving you 8 of the best laptop specials available on Uncle Evetech. There's something for everyone here. It's going from very entry-level work PC all the way up to entry-level sort of premium. Beyond that, I suggest research. And there's an idea that I'll communicate towards the end, but let's just get straight into it. Starting off at number 8 with the Proline 39 V14. Your boy has done a full review on this. I'll pop it out over here for you. But basically, it's a lot of processing power for the money. A Ryzen 7 5700U is nothing to turn your nose up at. As you can see, it's a 4.3 max boost with 12 megs of cache, but it's an 8-core 16-thread pot. Please just get it with the 16 gig RAM upgrade. It's going to cost you an extra 800, 900 bucks. It's really going to be worth it. 256 gig SSD as well. Basic 1366 by 768 display. And it's got a little graphics card in it, so it can even play a little bit of games. We tried to increase the VRAM, but unfortunately, no function within the BIOS. So don't expect too much from it because I think it's locked at 512 meg. Then we have the ASUS TUF A15. It's got an incredibly good processor at this sort of level. I would look at this if you're doing Adobe Suite or if you're doing video editing of any other kind, even basic 3D and stuff. This is going to slap for you because it's got the 2050 4 gig in there with a GDDR6 memory as well. 144 Hz IPS monitor as well on the sucker, and these chassis have some of the best performance in class. I found that out when we did the 4056 gig version of this, and it gave me literally the best scores on 3D Mark for that spec in the whole world. Then for the same but different, but still same, we have the 15AR-H7 chassis, this Lenovo Ideapad Gaming 3, also coming with the same processor, except that this then has the 4056 gig. It's already got 16 gig RAM at this 15999 price, which is flipping amazing. 512 gig SSD as well, and a 120 Hz IPS display, so not as quite as fast, but still really good. Staying with Lenovo, we have another LOQ. A 12450HX is actually a little bit more entry level as a CPU than the previous one I showed you. It's got 16 gig RAM, 512 gig SSD at this price of 13100, 144 Hz IPS. The big takeaway here is the bang for buck on the GPU. The 3050 was pretty good, but the 4 gig video memory really hampered it with 1080p textures. It couldn't go into a high texture setting. There was plenty of room still on the core, processing power wise on the actual GPU, but it just didn't have the video memory to set high textures. Now with 6 gigs of VRAM, that's no longer an issue. So for gaming bang for buck, this thing is absolutely chef's kiss. Then we have the MSI Thin B12VE. This has actually come down in price now. 16 gig RAM. It's got a really good processor, 10 core, 16 thread part over there. 512 gig SSD, 144 Hz IPS, 4056 gig. I have done a full review on this, but the TLDR is basically the 4050 is the lower TDP version to get that ultra slim profile. So it's a beast for mobile processing power. So if you need big CPU with, hey, I'll do some games and stuff on the side, then this is the one to go for. Then if gaming is your priority and that's your secondary, in the same kind of vein is this Victus. It is very aggressive on its price, I have to say that. 16 gig RAM, 512 gig SSD for 15999. This thing is very nicely priced. 144 Hz. The chassis on these are fantastic, very simple, straightforward as well. And then that 4056 gig, and it's a full fat version. It's the full wattage chuzzler, what? And it will drive the games at its absolute fastest. Then the last of the Lenovo LOQs. This thing popped up recently, and the value here is unreal. 12450HX, so once again, that more entry-level sort of CPU, especially with multi-threading. It's built more around being a single-core performer to support a stronger graphics card. It's got all of the same specs that we hope to see: 16 gig RAM, 512 gig SSD, 1080p, 144 Hz IPS, and then that 4068 gig for a whole 17,000 Rand. It's about 2,000 or 3,000 Rand cheaper than any of the competitors' notebooks with a 4060 right now. So yeah, if you gaming on the go is your thing, the 4068 gig really unlocks proper like DLSS functionality, etc., and real 1080p gaming at like 80 to 100 FPS. And then finally, we're back to the laptop that I would always personally choose again. I'm in love with this thing. 14700HX, 20 cores, 28 threads with 16 gig RAM, 1 TB SSD. You might want to do 32, especially if you're doing processor heavy stuff. You might want to bump that up. 2560 by 1600, 165 Hz IPS with the 4078 gig. In one of the nicest chassis you could possibly want to have. If I just scroll down on the left hand side over here, I just want to get a view at the back quickly.
12 seconds later.
There we go. This is a big reason why I would select this, because it's a proper desktop replacement. After this level, you really need to kind of make a decision between going for a desktop or going for a laptop. At this price point, the laptops, even their mobility factor, it starts to seriously separate on performance. If you're looking at like a 4080, even this 4070 to a desktop 4070, it's quite a margin. There's 8 gigs more video memory on the desktop 4070. You can build it about the same sort of price. Yeah, so this is where they kind of really start to separate. Funnily enough, on the entry level, it's actually quite like for like on a price versus frame rate, and then you get the mobility factor. So if you were looking for a laptop, hopefully you've seen something on this list that's going to suit your budget. If you need help with anything else, just let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you. Before I forget, hit us up with a like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this, and I will see you on the flip side.